Being recorded?
We're being recorded. But anyway, we're here with
No.
another movie review, and this time we have a new addition to one of my personal favorite films, and then the two other films that I've come to appreciate over the years. But the Matrix trilogy, now quadrilogy, and if you want to get into the anime, there's the lore, the video game. There's so much lore to get into, but
we're reviewing The Matrix?
we are. I got the VHS, Blu-ray.
I thought we were reviewing Sing 2. Oh, no.
Did you get your singing voice ready? Is that what you came here to do?
La, 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 la.
So, I don't know. What are your feelings on the Matrix films overall, in general?
Well, I think the general consensus has always kind of been that the first one is a classic and an absolutely outstanding film, and then there's the rest. I as you laugh, I like the first one, and I actually don't mind the second and third ones. I appreciate them for what they are, which, they aren't exactly good, but they're enjoyable, and the story is interesting.
They're more fun to analyze for me, because there's so many just metaphors, allegories in there. So, it's a franchise that I've always been close to because I just love analyzing it. It's such a complex series. So, and going into that, or in this film, there's kind of expectations it has to live up to. And for me, I was completely satisfied with this film. I have some minor gripes. Well, one kind of major one, actually. But that's my overall, in general, thought. But we'll get deeper into that. But what do you think? Just right off the bat.
I didn't have a lot of faith going into this film. I wasn't overly enthralled by the trailers. When it first was announced, I wasn't like, oh my god, a new Matrix film. In fact, I was kind of like, well, do we need one? And I, going into this film, had no expectations. I wasn't expecting to enjoy this film. I wasn't expecting to like it. And I was pleasantly surprised. I actually found it to be quite a good time. And I'm kind of in the same boat of you. I think there's definitely some flaws to it, but overall, it's actually pretty good.
There will be spoilers in this, pretty heavy spoilers. So we're just gonna stamp that now because we're just gonna start blurting. You know me.
I'm gonna let you guys know. Keanu Reeves is in the film.
Really? What about Tobey Maguire?
No, but Andrew Garfield.
Really?
Maybe.
Interesting. What?
Morpheus.
I love how Lawrence Fishburne was just like, I wasn't really invited to the party.
Well, I know why.
Yeah. He, for those of you who, like I said, spoilers, the video game. I don't know if you are familiar with the video game at all, but they actually made it canon, and Morpheus actually died. So I'm assuming that's going to be the explanation for his disappearance. But that's kind of a good segue, going into the negatives here. There's way less negatives, so we're just going to get them out of the way. Morpheus, for me, I feel like we didn't need him. I feel like Bug... What was that?
So you're going to say first, I apologize.
I feel like Bugs was sufficient enough that she could have just been Morpheus.
I mean, I think that, I don't know. I think people wanted Morpheus in the film. I get what you're saying. I think people wanted him in some sort of way, or Lawrence Fishburne, but it's fine. He's got John Wick 4 to look forward to, so fuck it, right? But no, I think that I can understand. I agree that his character wasn't necessarily needed. I mean, he was kind of useful and useless at the same time. It was weird.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Like, he didn't really. I feel like you needed to do something else with him to make him like actually important. Like, I just felt like they had him there for the sake of having him there.
Yeah, because they're like, well, Morpheus is dead, so this is the closest thing we can do. And the performance was good. He was a
Oh yeah.
mixture of. It was kind of cool. He was a mixture between him and Agent Smith.
Oh yeah.
And I know Hugo Weaving, who played Agent Smith, was contacted to actually return, but he was not able to due to scheduling. So they kind of had to write around that too, and that was kind of awkward as well because you could tell it was written for Hugo Weaving
Oh yeah.
to return, and then they're just like, "Oh shit, we have to recast now." So that was kind of awkward too.
Well, I kept waiting for him to appear. I kept waiting for Jonathan Groff's character of Agent Smith to, transform, the shift into his, original being, his original form. Uh, and I will say that was a bit disappointing for me that he did not. I think he's such an, I mean, Hugo Weaving's, his version of Agent Smith is such an iconic character, such an iconic villain, and I don't know, it was a bit disappointing to say the least.
Yeah, like I said, it really left a void in the story.
And don't get me wrong, I mean, Jonathan Groff's a great actor. I really like him in Mindhunter, and I mean, he did the best he could, but it's just he's not Hugo Weaving, and
Yeah.
that's who the character is made for.
I will bring this up. I'm a little biased in this regard. When it comes to action, I don't care because I don't like action flicks. I love The Matrix for every reason other than the action. So the action was kind of lacking, but that doesn't affect me because I'm good if it. I don't really
Well,
care.
I think for me, two problems with the action. The action that we got, a lot of the time, it was shaky cam, which I fucking hate.
Yeah.
And my problem with shaky cam is just, it's cheap. It's basically cutting a single scene 12 to 15 different times to make it look like there's a fight going on, and it's cheap. You use shaky cam when you can't get actors who can do the stunts. And I actually made this observation in the theater. I don't know if you did or not, but for all of Keanu Reeves' fight scenes, because he's an actor who does a lot of his own stunts, as an actor that does a lot of training so that he can do these stunts, a lot of the wider shots were done with him. And I can't think of the actor's name off the top of my head who played Morpheus, but there was the fight scene between them, which it was really funny to look at. Is I could see every time when the stunt double was in, because they always had his face in the shadows. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but it's a fun tidbit. But my second point to this is, I really do agree, but I feel like the action of it was really lackluster for the second half. I mean, I felt like we got a decent enough amount of action in the first half that fit the story. In the second half of the story, I feel like the action that we could have gotten just was very
Yeah.
And it's not like the story itself was good. It's just we didn't get I don't know. I feel like that it was devoid of action.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, that's why they love The Matrix, because it was very revolutionary in the action genre.
Oh yeah.
So, like, this didn't really do anything revolutionary, because I was like, well, if they're trying to replicate the first one's success again, then they're going to try to do something new. And that they didn't really do that. I did like the new addition to bullet time, like how they manipulated it and what they did with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's not really that revolutionary. That's just
No.
editing at this point.
I will say this is one of the best edited films I've seen in a while.
Oh
The
yeah,
editing is great.
yeah. All right, so getting into more of the positives here, I thought the film was paced well. Um, Soundtrack, I thought was really cool because you had some kind of almost like meta reboot hints of the
Oh yeah,
original soundtrack. And the meta we'll get into later because that's
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Can
You
we
can
just
watch, yeah,
can we just a quick side? Can we just take a moment to appreciate the scene in the beginning about Warner Brothers?
yeah,
That was fucking because you know that happened. You know that had to have happened,
yeah.
and it was glorious.
I mean, cinematography, for the most part, I thought
Yeah,
it wasn't as artsy, I would say, as the original Matrix, but
well,
it was well shot, I guess. Nothing
I mean
special.
there were a couple things, a couple of scenes where I questioned some of the positioning of things. Actors didn't necessarily look right. The scene itself didn't look right, but for the most part, I thought the cinematography was fine. I just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, nothing to write home about.
No.
But all right, let's get into this meta. How knowledged are you into like the Matrix lore and stuff like that?
I don't know a ton about the lore, I'll be honest.
Okay. I know I don't know. I know a good bit. I'm not like a die-hard fan, but I know a good bit. So, I mean, like just watching it the first time, I got so many just meta references. And this is a film you could watch 10 times. And I'm sure you're just going to be picking up on something new every time. And this was just, it can be analyzed in so many ways. But it was basically a dig on modern film in a lot of ways, like what reboots are. If you remember the Merovingian, if you notice, while his, yeah, he was this elegant person before, this artsy, like over artsy character done on purpose, and now he's just this homeless wreck. And he's basically, if you listen to his ramblings, he's just giving little digs at the film industry. It's great.
It is kind of funny.
I loved it. That was his only scene.
I
And
do
that's all
love that
he
he just like
needed.
it is. He just I was just like you fucks, and he just leaves.
But yeah, just I don't know. What are your thoughts on the meta nature of this film?
You know me. I have always been one to enjoy meta. One, it's done properly. A la the first Scream film. Not so much the latter ones.
Yeah.
Scream 5 next month, guys. It's gonna be great.
No, it's called Scream. It's not called Scream 5. It's called Scream. Just like Halloween 2018 was called Halloween, which was a sequel to Halloween. Scream 5 is a sequel to Scream called Scream.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
Anyways, no, I enjoy the meta. I think that it works well for what the Matrix is. Because you know my whole theory on life that we're just living in a simulation anyway. I'm just waiting for. I like to believe this is the simulate. Movies like this are the simulation's way of just fucking with us. They're just like, hey, here's a little hint, you little fucks. Enjoy it. You're never getting out.
But
Guess that brings a new meaning to the term meta. It's the simulation that's making the film to fuck with us.
which I mean, they were fucking with him by making him create the Matrix video game.
That was genius. That was
And
genius.
the gaming industry's dead. The film industry's dead. I agree. I completely agree.
We've got hope.
Hey, invest in GameStop. By the way, I went to AMC as a proud shareholder.
I'm proud of you, bud.
Yeah.
I went to Regal as a proud AMC shareholder.
Yeah. And then you could have went to the closed GameStop that used to be there at the mall.
Is it gone?
No, I meant the. Never mind.
Oh, the upper wall. The upper wall.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, because there is one next door. I was like, did it close?
The original GameStop. But I could talk about this film for hours. I really could. And my favorite part about it is it just really followed the lore. It really did. Like it didn't. I don't see any plot holes created. Maybe some mini ones that this film had itself, but nothing that's fucking up the continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Like the implication that Trinity is now the one. A lot of people are going to be confused by that, but it does make sense. And I do want to make a video down the road explaining why this all makes sense. I want to do more research on it. I want to watch it again a couple more times. So maybe I'll get into that later down the line because I don't want to get into it now. It's a deep-winded conversation. What did you think of Neil Patrick Harris's character?
I loved it. Because I've heard. Here's the thing. He was like a silent. He was an almost like he was a passive aggressive asshole. And I've heard that's how Neil Patrick Harris is in actual life. So I feel like they just found Neil Patrick Harris near the set and were like, hey, Neil, come on over. And they just kind of invited him in and he just kind of just did his thing, you know? And then they just, ADR'd his lines. It's fine.
Yeah. And I have a question. I don't know if this is a plot hole or foreshadowing. Why was Bugs' hair blue? You would think it would have been red in the Matrix, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think that's foreshadowing?
Probably.
Because obviously the red pill is freedom, the blue pill is, being stuck in prison.
Here's the thing. The Wachowskis are fucking great. I mean,
this was only directed by one. I think it was.
I know, but
yeah.
I'm explaining, you fuck. So here's the thing. I love the Wachowskis in general. I think that they are really, really smart, and they make really, really good quality art. They are the directors behind my favorite movie of all time, which is Cloud Atlas. They were the creative brainchild and directors on one of my favorite shows of all time, which was Sense8, which unfortunately was canceled by Netflix because it would cost too much money to make. Because apparently, there is a cost on how good art can be, I guess. So, hey. But, I think that they're really smart, and they don't do anything in their films that isn't supposed to mean something later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like this is setting up a new trilogy. I think it's very clear.
Yeah, there's been rumblings about it. I'm sure it will. Yeah, I think this set it up. I don't think this was really an ending.
No.
It's a happy ending, but I think it's a false happy ending. I think there's going to be problems. There's going to be consequences for this.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But and going back to the lore a little bit, it fit into the sexuality metaphor as well.
Mm-hmm.
As the original trilogy, which I was happy it kept in. You think it overdid the black cat? I was thinking that the entire film, but that could have been done on That could have been done on purpose, though.
That's the thing. That's my leg. Not gonna cramp. I think we're good. I think we're good for me to go back to normal. You're just gonna say to me, ah. But no, I think that's fair. It was a little too overdone, but at the same time, like, what's their plan?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's just the whole film just is a parody of the film industry. So it's like, did it do it on purpose as a parody to make it glaringly obvious? Deja vu. Even the cat's name was Deja vu. Like that's a dig that things are too blatant in modern film. So yeah, Do you have any other points before we give a rating?
Well, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts about Trinity being hinted at being the one? No, I know some people aren't probably going to like that.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. It makes sense.
That's kind of my whole thing with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not just some blatant. It's not like Star Wars, some blatant feminist thing that makes no sense. This does have purpose.
Well, yeah, and I mean, Trinity is a well-developed. We've already developed that Trinity is a strong character and a character that, I mean, it makes sense for me at least. And it's not like we had to devalue Neo to fucking, like, you know what I mean?
Together they do better as one. It's a love. This film's a love story, and Lana even said that she wrote this after losing her parents. That's what inspired her, or she was thinking about her parents. One of those. So, yeah, I mean, it's a love story, and I think it accomplished that. Like, you do care about these characters. This isn't some cheesy love story. Like I felt this one. I was like, like good for them. They have this now. And I don't think this was a cheap excuse to make a fourth film. A lot of people are just gonna say it's a cash grab. I mean, there was some. I don't know. I think I'm very interested in seeing what happens next.
Well, as they kind of hinted, it was told to them that either, hey, you can do this, we can do this with you, or we can do this without you, but we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
So you might as well be involved and keep the baby your own. You know what I mean?
Yep. So yeah, overall, I loved it. I had a good time with it. Which is really unexpected. I was worried going in.
I get that.
We don't have a good history with film nowadays.
What are you talking about? There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised, and I had a good time with it. When you go in with no expectations, I wanted to have high expectations because I'm like, all right, this has to live up to the original. But you just go in, you're just like, all right, I'm probably going to be disappointed.
Well, that's kind of how I approach film nowadays, is that I go in expecting to be disappointed, and sometimes I come out, and it's Avengers Endgame, and I'm still somehow disappointed. Or I go in, and it's Venom, and I'm like, oh, this was better than I thought it was going to be. Although Venom was the lowest fucking thing on the totem pole there, I went and I was like, this is going to be absolute shit. And I was like, oh, it's shit, but it's entertaining. It's gold plated. Whereas Endgame, I went, I'm like, it's going to be good. It's going to probably be good. And I'm like, oh, no. It's plot holes after plot holes.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be bad. And now for our final ratings.
I'm stuck in the Matrix, sorry.
What a disaster this turned out to be.
A cinematic disaster?
Exactly. I mean, they're getting what we promised. It's in the name.
Okay, so my final rating is a 4 on the dot out of 5. The reason for that being is that I think this movie is flawed. There are definitely flaws to it, but the amount of creativity and the amount of, the amount of symbolism in this film and the amount of work that was put in, I feel outweighs that. And from a technical standpoint, this film has a lot of things going for it. Again, as I said earlier in this film is probably the best edited film I've seen in a long time. And, shout out to editors. They do not get enough credit. They do a lot of fucking work and a lot of things in the film industry, and nobody ever fucking gives them any goddamn credit. But they deserve it. So whoever edited this film, good job. You guys did really good.
Good job, Ian. We're talking to you, buddy.
We love you.
Fuck you, Ian. Such attention was paid to this, and it's a passion project. This was very personal, so it's almost feels like it's unfair to rate this, because to me, I look at it as an art piece. This is one giant metaphor. There's so much symbolism. There's so many layers. We didn't even reference the Christianity aspects of the series. We didn't even get into that. That's a whole other layer. There's so many layers to this series that it's hard for me to rate, but I would go as high as a 4.5 for this. I think it's the second best in the series. That's not saying much.
That's not. Yeah, that's you've just.
Yeah,
no.
But
what about the Animatrix?
I mean, have you seen the Animatrix?
No, I haven't, but people apparently really like it, so.
It is good.
Oh, good.
And that's saying something coming from me, because I don't like anime.
You hate everything.
I do.
You really do.
Including Matrix Revolutions. But anyway. All right. Yes, I do hate Ron Burgundy. I don't like Anchorman. That's a controversial one. I get shit for it constantly.
You're welcome.
Oh man, at this point we should just start a podcast and start rambling about film. That'd actually be very interesting.
Hey, if you guys want us to do a podcast, let us know in the comments. We'll do it, once a week, and we'll get plastered.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll get
Well, one of us will. One of us can't get drunk.
Which one's that one?
Fuck you.
But anyway,
we're not here because we're free. We're here because we're not free. But anyways, guys, until next time, this has been another cinematic disaster. Oh, Mr. Anderson. What?
I just now noticed your hat.
Please don't put that in the video.